Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're excited to have Tracy Johnson here for our Dyslexia Awareness Month speaker. We've been having a weekly series, and we're so glad that Tracy can join us. And Eric and I have known Tracy for quite some time through a dyslexia think tank out of San Francisco. We met her, I think, Eric, it was like 13 years ago.
It was about 13 years ago. And then Heather, I think you met Tracy probably about 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah, so I started coming too, and we all became good friends. And so it's so neat to have the opportunity to stay in touch and get connected again through this unique world of the Zoom and Facebook Live and everything that we're doing these days. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about Tracy Johnson. We're thrilled to have her today. Tracy Johnson is an adult dyslexic who's had a lot of success in her adulthood. She had a lot of challenges as a child going through school. She's currently an adjunct professor at Harcum College. She's also in the process of writing a book called Journey of Hope, a guide for adult dyslexics. And she also has started a nonprofit called Vessels of Hope to give hope and help to families who've got low income students who have dyslexia. And she's also taken her programming on the road and shared internationally what she does. So we're so thrilled to have Tracy here today to share with us about her story. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to connect and reconnect with you both. So thank you so much for having me.
It'll be great.
So should we just talk a little bit about the story?
The floor is yours, Tracy.
Well, again, thanks for having me, Eric and Heather. I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate your friendship, our friendship together. So I'm going to bring up my slides if I can. Share screen, here we go, and there we go. So as Heather mentioned, this is our website, Vessels of Hope, which is vesselsofhopevessels.org. So if you want to go to the website, check out some things that we've done through Vessels of Hope. And also just some information about what we do in the city. Primarily, I'm actually in Philadelphia. So we do a lot of things out of Philadelphia. We go to churches, we go to community centers, libraries, just to share this information in communities that need it the most. Oftentimes, when we were able to do physical workshops, oftentimes I would have parents and some community members just want to know about it, because oftentimes there's a myth about what dyslexia is. And we have a lot of children in our public schools that are either undiagnosed or misdiagnosed and having dyslexia, or not dealing with dyslexia. And the resources are sometimes a little challenging to kind of filter through, and parents just need a little guidance. So that's what we do. We do resource, we do outreach, we do educational awareness, workshops, things like that throughout the city. And this is actually an interview that I had the privilege of being in actually here in Philadelphia. One of the news stations actually did a story about Vessels of Hope. It was Fox 29. It was actually an interview called One Tough Cookie. So this is actually the YouTube video for that interview, if anyone's interested in clicking on that and just knowing more about what we do here in Philadelphia. And this is my journey, or the beginning of my journey. This is little Tracy. So I was one average child, loved to play, loved to learn, loved to grow, all those types of things when I was in school, especially elementary school, just developing, growing. But it was kind of a pinnacle when I was in the 6th grade. 5th, 6th grade was when my challenges began. I struggled with reading, writing, math too. I have a math challenge as well. I often could not remember my multiplications. Spelling is still horrible for me. Reading was often difficult. So I kept falling further and further behind from my peers. actually my mother would sit my older brother at the table and make him help me with my homework. He's not a trained special ed teacher, but this was his job. So hours I would sit there struggling through my homework assignments, not knowing why I was not picking up like my other peers, crying all the time. I further and further as I got into middle school, I fell into depression, bouts of suicide, low self-esteem, just not thinking that I mattered in the world or society, that I had anything to offer because of my struggles with reading and writing. Some younger pictures when I graduated from kindergarten over there, and it's now, since I love education, things have turned a lot for me in life. My mother tells me I'm always graduating from somewhere now. So because after, and we talk about after we actually get the right tools that we need, we love to learn. All of people dealing with dyslexia have above average to high average intelligence. So we have a passion for learning, but sometimes we don't always have the keys or the access to the information that we need like everyone else. And this is my father. And as we all know, dyslexia is hereditary. And this is my dad. My dad was in the service, and he was dyslexic, did not know. Of course, back then they didn't know what it was. So he constantly struggled, and he was blessed to meet a wonderful wife, my stepmother, who did everything for him. All of his paperwork, he ran a couple of businesses. Anything that he needed to have written form, business, my stepmother would do it. So that was the yin and yang. They complemented each other. He had the business mindset, and she had the clerical set of skills that really helped make that balance work. But like I say, oftentimes we need someone in our life, and we need that support system in dealing with dyslexia. And this beautiful woman right here is my tutor still to this day. And what happened was, I was not identified as being dyslexic until I was out of high school. Through there, I tried my attempts at college, failed tremendously, still just kind of flip-flop through life and dead-end jobs and all those types of things. But when I saw a TV show talking about the signs and symptoms of dyslexia, that's when it's like a light went on. It's like, I think that's me. So I began to do my own research, and I was able to connect with the International Dyslexia Association, which of course I'm in Philadelphia. So I connected with our Pennsylvania branch, and I called there, and I was able to connect with someone there. And that's how I got my screening. That was my first step. I got screening, and that's how I found out I was dyslexic. All those years, even some educators told me I was dumb, I was slow, I was stupid, never could go to college, don't even think about it. Oftentimes I would hear, oh, go find something to work with your hands, all those types of things I was told. But I knew I was smart. I just did not know how to access what was inside of me. So through being identified, we had a list of tutors, and this wonderful woman has been my tutor since I went back to college through my associate's degree, which I graduated with a 4.0, my bachelor's degree, my master's degree in psychology. And like I say, I have an honorary doctorate in Christian education, and I'm looking to go back to school. So again, once that key is there to unlock what's inside of us, the sky's the limit. There's nothing really we cannot do when we have the right tools and the right assets. That's why we often talk about early intervention is important. Some people have that push and that tenacity once they become an adult, but it's just so much harder because we have so many other compounding issues when we become adults dealing with dyslexia. Now we have to worry about work. We have to worry about livelihood. We have to worry about where to live on top of dealing with dyslexia. And sometimes businesses and companies aren't as kind to us when we're dealing with dyslexia in certain areas where we're struggling with reading information, following directions, and all those types of things. So sometimes it's a little bit harder for adults, but it's not impossible. It's not something that's saying, I can't do this, I won't matter, I can't amount to anything in life. That's not so. We do have that skill in us. We all have a gift, but sometimes when we're compounded with all those struggles throughout our life, it's harder to find that gift when you become an adult, but it's there. It is definitely there. We just continue to search out what's inside of us, and we need allies. We say, as we say all the time, dyslexia is a invisible disability. Just like a person needs a wheelchair, or a person that's blind needs their cane, we need assistive technology. We need a support system. We need someone there. We need something there to support us in those areas where we're weak. But again, that gives us that level playing field, just like that wheelchair gives that person that cannot walk a level playing field. We too need that level playing field. The only thing is again, our disability is unseen. So that's why often sometimes the same empathy or sympathy is not there. So I believe I'm going to stop sharing now. And if we have any questions from the audience, or Heather and Eric, do you guys have any feedback regarding?
Well, yeah, I was wanting to know a little bit more about, when you went from being in school and then that transition that you made from deciding that you're going to go on to higher education. What was it that, how did you get to feel confident that you could do that? And what were some of the steps you had to take, or some things you had to overcome mentally to kind of get to that point?
It's something, because even when I was in high school, I wanted to go to college, and I struggled in school, but I was just like, I had this grandiose, I'm going to college. I didn't know how to get there, because I'm actually a first generation college student. None of my family went to college. So I didn't know how I was going to get there, what steps to take. I just like, I want to go to college. So it was a transition even there, because it was the high school teacher told us we could not, because we were in special ed classes. College was not for us. So when I got out of high school, I tried to go to our community college, and I failed the entry exam here. I couldn't even go to community college. So anyone we thought could go to community college, I struggled to get into community college. So that was a breaking point. So after that, it's when I just flip-flop and wandered. And it was not until I connected with that TV show where they were talking about dyslexia, that's when the light went. I'm like, wait a minute, I think that's me. And that's when I started to really do my research and find out what was going on. And that was when I was able to connect with the tutor, my Wilson trained tutor, who brought me back to the basics, because we all know we need that multi-sensory approach, that we need that multi-sensory program to help us really get the foundational tools that we need. And she helped me through that process. Even as an adult, she actually, we went through the Wilson program. I went step by step, but after I knew what was going on, I had that light and that passion. I wanted to learn more. I wanted more homework from her. That's how eager I was at that time, and hungry I was, because it was like a flower that never had the water and the proper nutrition that flower needed.
Yes.
Once you give that flower the nutrition and the water, the sunlight, everything it needs, it begins to bloom. And that's how I felt. I began to bloom when I really started to get the information, the right tools that I needed to learn.
So I want to ask you a question. I think I'd be remiss if we had you on. I didn't ask you this question. So, I think one thing that a lot of folks in the dyslexia community would agree on is that shame is a big part of the dyslexic experience. What I'd like to know is that different or the same in the Black community? And how is the dyslexic experience in the Black community different or the same?
The difference is oftentimes in the Black community, it's social economic, really, honestly. We struggle not only with dyslexia, we struggle financially as well. Because, okay, once we're identified, where are we going to get the help? And if you are identified in school or wherever, okay, where can I get the proper tutoring? We can't not go to those wonderful LD schools because they just cost too much.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That is the struggle. So it's a compounding issue. It's not just dyslexia. We're struggling with dyslexia. Sometimes we're struggling in our community. Sometimes the kids are struggling in their own homes.
Mhm.
So dyslexia falls to the ground or falls really on the back burner when you're dealing with just trying to survive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Oh, it is.
So that's why it looks different. And that's
Mhm.
why my desire is to get that information. Like, this is what can be done. What can we do? We know what we're limited in doing, but what can we do?
Exactly.
Right. So what are some messages? Because I think one of the things Heather and I are passionate about, because this is, particularly in Dallas, that's definitely an issue, is the combination of poverty and LD, right?
Mm-hmm.
And well beyond race, just poverty.
Exactly.
is an issue.
Exactly.
And that's an issue everywhere in the country.
Yeah,
around
it
the
is,
world,
but
yeah.
it's one that we've worked with here in
Mhm.
Dallas and tried to make an impact on and continue to try to make an impact on.
Mhm.
I know you have experience with this very thing, so I'm interested.
Right.
What are some strategies that we can do to make a bigger impact in that community?
Well, I mean, number one is just trying to, because oftentimes people will come in like, oh, well, we understand, we relate. Not really. It's hard. It's hard when the struggle is different. Or even it's hard. Okay, you're empowering that kid or that family, things like that, but they're going back into a community that is oppressed and depressed. So the little information that we can give, keep giving it. I know it's hard and maybe an uphill battle, but keep giving what you have to give, because we never know what difference that's going to make in in a trajectory of a student or a child. Their whole life can go in a different direction, in a better direction. Sometimes we're coming in that community or helping that one family, that one child can probably not be the one to go to jail, end up on the streets on drugs. That one life that we can touch or save, just keep giving, encouraging them, let them know, see, basically just being for real. No, I don't understand, but I'm here to help. I'm here
Mhm.
to do what I can do. And I'm sincere about how much I care about you.
Mhm.
Mm.
Now, what about, one of the things that's been kind of a challenge for us, we've had, different events where we've had students come in from areas that are really struggling in that way, and from families that are struggling in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you can reach their child, but if you can't reach the parent, can you really make an impact? And those are some of the things that we've struggled with before. What's your take on that? And
Actually,
how to reach the parents?
sometimes the parent may have a mindset, just help my child.
Mhm.
If you can help my child, I'll be okay. Because oftentimes the parents, just like any other parent, they want more for their child than they want for themselves.
Mhm.
So as long as that child is getting the help, you're still making a difference. The parent may be like, I just want my child to be saved. I want my child to be helped. I want my child to have a different life. So it's okay if the child is getting reached. That is extremely important. Sometimes the parent may come along later on, but if they don't, it's okay. You're still making a difference in that child's life.
That's good to hear. And then what would you say, how are things going in the public school system where you are now versus where they were before? Are you noticing some trends of changes? Are you seeing some improvements with what's being offered in your public school system there locally?
Right now, a lot of the kids are still virtual, which is extremely hard with our LD kids. We know, because just the virtual setting is just not working well for them.
Yeah.
But we've had some strive. We had some pilot programs for our dyslexia programs before COVID. So those things, we're making some strides, but it's slow. It's slow because teachers are so especially our regular education teachers. They're so inundated right now. I mean, some of the teachers have 29 kids in the class.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
pretty hard
it's,
to
it's
see the
tough.
impact.
Exactly.
So in
Exactly.
terms of the dyslexia services that are being offered locally in your area pre-COVID, would you say that they were reaching a lot of those kids and that they were starting to make some gains there, or are you still seeing that there's a lot of struggles there?
There's still a lot of struggles, but they're trying. I can say because I've seen some awesome, wonderful teachers. I had wonderful teachers, but the wonderful teachers just did not have the right tools, and that
Mm,
is the issue. They need the tools to help the kids that are struggling with dyslexia, and as we all know, those same tools could help every kid, not just the kids with dyslexia.
mhm. Absolutely. Well, I'm a big fan of the Wilson program. Our daughter Claire is using that for her homeschool right now, and it's helping her a lot. So it's interesting. There's so many different programs out there. It's a kind of
Yeah,
a minefield trying to figure out which one's the right one
yeah.
for each child. But switching gears a little bit, so growing up, everything that you went through, and then then you become an adult. You decide you're gonna take on college and everything. So what did your family have to say to you when you decided you were going to go off to college? Were they were they supporting you, or how did it go?
They were wondering what I was doing. I had no clue because again, there was no roadmap for college for us.
Yeah.
Um, but I am so thankful to God, honestly, that I kept going because now I have an older sister. My sister is in her 50s. She's in a PhD program now because her little sister decided to take this journey.
Wow.
Cool.
So yeah, so and she's not dyslexic. I actually admire her. I said I wish I could do all my classes online, but I know how my brain works, and that's not the way I can be wired. But um again, they were supportive, but they didn't really know how to really help me in the challenges that I had going through college. So even my academic challenges and financial challenges, all those things, I had to figure out on my own. And that was my desire for actually creating Vessels of Hope, especially in the area of dyslexia. I didn't want any other child or adult to actually struggle through the paths that I had to go through. So again, once someone can be a trailblazer and make that road, why not go back and let someone else see the roadmap?
I love it because you really inspire people in your family, and I'm sure outside of your family too. Tell us a little bit about Vessels of Hope and some of the things that you have created over time to help other people.
So a lot of what we have done is actually just building educational awareness and outreach in our community. Just sharing information about dyslexic. I know you guys know I was part of the HBO documentary Journey into Dyslexia. So I actually take that video into the community, and actually we show that and do a lot of the Q&A and discussion after that video. It's an eye opener. Any type of visual thing that we can offer to the community, it helps to build that awareness. So oftentimes we just going in, taking some type of video, or I sometimes take the news clip from Fox 29. Any visual I try to give, and then after that we do a lot of the Q&A, and a lot of questions come about. And oftentimes, even when I start teaching, I actually show some type of visual about or video of me of one of my stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's 9 times I have a 41-year-old, a 51-year-old, someone in my class, because I teach adults, that say that was me.
Yeah.
But that's where we have to start to, because a lot of times they don't even know what they're dealing with or why they're dealing with it and why they have so many struggles through life. So a lot of the times that's pretty much what we're doing. We're building that educational awareness. I have a friend in the city that I connect for tutoring service, and actually she does the diagnostic services as well. Her name is Dr. Rahmanta Campbell. She runs the reading clinic here in the city. So a lot of my clients who want to be tested and screened, I send them to her. She and I work a lot here in the city doing educational awareness and outreach.
Very cool. And I was gonna say, as we're doing this talk, if anybody has any questions they want to post in the comments, feel free to do so. One other thing I wanted to ask you about, is tell us about this book that you're writing and, you know, some of the messages that you're trying to share with the world.
Sure. So it's like I said, it's a book for dyslexic is not adults. It's not for our teachers. It's not for our psychologists. You guys have all those wonderful books already about dyslexia. This is for the lay person living with dyslexia. They may have been identified. They may not have. But if they're just trying to work through this thing called life, living with dyslexia, it's a simple, readable, easy readable book, pictures, inspirational quotes in there, encouraging words, some of my own true stories of what happened throughout my journey, just tidbits, even things like how to order from a menu at a restaurant to how to play board games with your friends. Oftentimes we think, oh, that's nothing. Come on. I had plenty of situations where I shied away from playing board games with my friends because I had to read on the spot. I had to respond quickly. Those types of things we don't really
What's
think
the
about.
tip?
What'd you say?
What's the secret tip
For the board
for
games.
board games? Either one, board games or the menu.
Well, the secret tip for the board games, I say talk to a family member or friend that already knows that you're dealing with it. Try to pair up with them first, and then they can try to give you, if it's taking a little bit long to read something, you're paired up with someone that already knows your struggle, or you can pick something in the game that you already are familiar with and that you already know. You can be the timer. You can be, something else in the game that does not require reading, where again, I don't want anybody to feel isolated or shy away from social situations like that. So try to pick something in the game that does not require the reading portion, something you can be, the drawer, something like that. If you're playing short, anything that does not require you to respond quickly if something you have to read.
Makes sense.
The menu thing is funny. There's so many times I've done one or two things. I'll try to order something off the menu, misread it, and I'll pick something that I think must be delicious. Like,
Right.
hey, it sounds really delicious.
Right.
And so I tell them, oh, I want such and such, and the waiter just looks at me cockeyed. He's like, we don't serve that. Oh, what's this?
One thing I put in the book, try to ask the waiter. What do you recommend?
I'm always asking the waiter, what's your favorite thing? And I hate it when they say, oh, everything's great. Okay, well, give me everything then. I mean,
or we can cheat around the room. We always have some clue. We always have our little tidbits. Look at what someone else is eating. You're like, oh, I think I'll have that.
That looks good. That's funny.
Exactly. That looks good. What are they having?
Yeah, that's so funny. That's so funny. Yeah. So what sorts of, do you use much assistive technology as an adult today? And if so, like what sorts of technology are you using?
I do, because I'm inundated now with emails from work every day. And sometimes I have to walk away because my brain hurts.
Oh, yeah.
Oftentimes I use my smartphone. Definitely when I'm typing, I have to speak words into my phone all the time.
Okay.
To get the proper word when I'm doing emails and things like that. That's what I use pretty much on a daily basis because it's quick, and I need to respond quickly to email. So that's what I'm using now at home since I'm working from home. But sometimes we have other devices I can use when I'm at work. But right now we're limited because of COVID. I have the smartphone, so that's what I use the most. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eric uses his a lot, like to read things to you.
yeah, my phone, but then I like the computer. I like to highlight and do text to speech and then do dictation on the computer. I do that a lot. And of course I dictate into the phone all the time.
Yeah. And I say that I think that's one of the tips that I actually put in the book, because some people who cannot afford the technology that's more expensive, they have a inexpensive smartphone that's always at your fingertips, and you can kind of speak into that to use it. And everyone's using it. People that are not dyslexic are now speaking into their smartphones. So it's not, anything that's going to single us out anymore. So
Well, and the audiobooks, people are listening to audiobooks regularly.
Yep.
It's become the thing. And that used
Exactly.
to be like the dyslexia thing, but now it's the thing.
Right.
Yep.
It's really become mainstream. People see the value in it.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. Now you'd
The
also,
efficiency.
yeah, and Eric loves a lot of audiobooks too, and our kids are all loving them. But one other question I had is I struggled with dyscalculia, math struggles. So as a child, what were some of the things that you used to get through school with your struggle with mathematics?
My brother. My big brother. My
Whatever it takes.
my brother never had a problem with math. And it's something because my dad, the story is about my dad. I actually put this in the book to you guys. I didn't meet my dad until I was about in my mid-20s. So later on in life. So I didn't know where this dyslexia issue came from. My sister was fine. My brother was fine. I'm like, why was I different?
Mhm.
So, but when I connected with my father, he was fine in math. I struggled in both areas. So my brother was the one constantly there helping me with math all the time. I could still never remember multiplication facts, all those types of things I struggle with all the time. But when I started to when I went in college and got into algebra, that clicked. Who knew?
Fascinating. Yeah, I never had the experience where algebra ever clicked, but I hear that some people that have had mathematical struggles when they got to higher level math, that it just clicked for them.
Yeah.
That was not the case for me. Even Eric tried to steer me in college, and it was quite hilarious because I'm good at math and I'm just not. It just didn't really ever click for me. I think that my mathematical tower was built on sand. And so I wasn't really dealing with like a really good foundation to begin with. And so that made it harder for me to build on top of it. But I think each kid's a little bit different how that manifests. But very interesting to hear. Now, as you got into college and now into adulthood, how often are you having to use that mathematics that you were working on in school?
Not much because I mean, I was a psych major too, so I had to take statistics and all that stuff, which I got a tutor for that too.
I would have had to.
Not much in math. I mean, I do more of the challenging skills with my spelling is still horrible. So, and it slows me down, but I mean, that's what I'm challenged with more so every day with my work because I work in higher ed. I'm an enrollment counselor, so I'm constantly talking with students, constantly having to email students, and I hate doing reports because I have to type up the reports on a weekly basis, and it's so we know how it is. It's physically draining to our brain.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the spelling is much more in terms of Eric's day-to-day life. That impacts him a lot more than me with the math.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm thankful for the fact that I don't have to deal with the math every day. And I think about his struggles with spelling, and I think I kind of sometimes compare it to if I was having to do multiplication all day long.
Yeah.
How taxed I would probably be. And for him, that's his daily life. And so, that's how I try to relate to it, is that sort of thing, because I feel like that's that would be really hard if I had to do multiplication all day. So
yeah, I mean, I even with like kids, we think about what if they had, think about lifting a heavy boulder from 8:30 to 3:00 constantly. How physically draining that would be. That's how our brain oftentimes is overloaded because we're functioning with the part of our brain that we're challenged the most with for that long. So yeah.
Absolutely. So after all of his book learning and school and all of that, what is it that you do to kind of like release the tension of all this insanity that goes on in your brain and all the hard work you've done? How do you, what sorts of things do you do to try to relax yourself?
I used to do flower arrangements, but I haven't had time to do that anymore. That used to be my release, doing little arrangements. I actually started a little business a long time ago and doing that. It didn't go very far. I just did it for fun, to relax myself.
Yeah.
But also I love listening to gospel music and watching comedies. I love anything to make me laugh.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I'll do. I'll just put on a comedy and I'll just laugh.
Yeah, I feel like right now, especially in 2020, we're all needing something to laugh about more than ever. Like I think
Mhm.
that there's a huge need for that. Well, that's good to hear how you deal with that because I think everybody deals with these things differently.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who is in the Black community who maybe coming from a family has not been to college, their parents haven't been to college, their grandparents have not been to college, and they're kind of thinking, you know what, I really want to do this. What
Mhm.
advice would you give them to start off this journey?
Connect with as many people as you can that has been through the journey.
Mhm.
Um, you can start with the guidance counselor if you can, but connect on social media. There's now a network of people out there that really want to help. So definitely, if you can connect with someone on social, if you're dyslexic, we have a wonderful plethora of dyslexic groups that you can connect with. Vessels of Hope is one.
Yes.
Eric and Heather, their group is one. Connect with a social media group that can help walk. Like this is, I don't have my family has never been to college. This is a goal of mine. Things like that. I'm dyslexic. Where do I start?
Mhm.
So connect with that social network first, because a lot of times there's someone on that platform has been where you're trying to go. So
Mhm.
that will be the first start, and then start calling the colleges. Start calling the colleges where you desire to attend, and say, okay, can I speak to someone in your learning support system? If you already have your IEP, great. You want to let them know that information and let them know what type of things, begin to know what type of learner you are. If you haven't discovered that, that's very helpful. If you know you learn best by listening, let them know. If you need a note taker, those types of things. So those are the type of things, questions you want to ask, even when you meet with that learning support person at a college.
Mhm.
Secondly, find out what type of class load you can handle, and if you only can take starting off taking one or two courses at a time, do that. This is not a race. This is your life. This is Take as much time as you need to get to where you desire to go.
Mhm.
So you may see your other peers taking 4 or 5 classes at a time. That's not your journey. That's not your walk, and it's okay because we're all going to go to the finish line, and that's graduation.
Yes.
So just start taking 1 or 2 classes at a time and get the help you need. If you need a note taker, my thing is, when I went in college, or when I sat in class rather, I took a audio tape or some type of digital device where I can record all my lectures. That helped me sit up front. I know no one wants to be the kid to sit up front, but sit up front. That helps to avoid all the distractions that are in the classroom. If you actually sit up front and you can tape some of your lectures and things like that. Oftentimes, I know when I was in school, I could not take notes at all while I listened to the lecture. It was
Yeah.
impossible. I had no clue what I was writing down. So I just put my pencil down, record it, and listen. I wanted to take in the information while I was there in class so I can ask questions right there. So, and then I went back to my dorm, listened to the lectures again, and that's when I took my notes. It was a longer process, but it worked. So you may have to do some of those type of things.
Mhm.
Ask questions, go to your professors prior to, let them know this is what I deal with, but I'm going to be the hardest working student in your class. Let them know how eager you are to be there, and let them know how hard you're going to work. So a lot of times I know, definitely me as a professor, when students come up to me and I see how they're willing to learn, how eager they are, I'm going to do everything in my power to help that student get what he or she needs. And that's how most professors are, most instructors are. They are there to help you. So come to them if you have questions. Take advantage of those office hours to get clarity on anything that you need. So those are just some of the things you really want to take into consideration. But also look into the college itself. Find out what support systems are around that college outside even the learning center. Find
Mhm.
out what other support systems are around in that college. See if you can find the best college for you. Sometimes it may be a smaller college. Even if you're at a larger college, find out the resources that are there in that college. I'm sorry, I probably just went off my soapbox,
Love
but
it.
that that is my passion right there. I don't want anybody to be blocked from getting higher education because again, you can do it. If that's what you desire to do, you can do it.
I love it. Well, we have someone who's written in, and she says, "Hi, I teach dyslexia at a high school. Dyslexia is not fun, uh, as some students say. Any suggestions on how to keep the students engaged, particularly virtual students? I feel like I'm losing them because I can't control the learning environment, and my
Yeah.
face-to-face students are progressing well considering the new normal."
Yeah, it's hard on this virtual platform to keep them engaged. I'm sure you're a seasoned teacher where you give them the breaks that they need and all those types of things. But sometimes once they come back off a break, maybe just say a couple of encouraging words to them, a couple of encouraging. I know this is hard, guys, but we're doing it. We're in this. Just try to continue. I know you have to be the counselor, the cheerleader now, and all those type things as teachers, but it's just harder for them because they used to that social interaction. And the virtual platform just really doesn't give them that leeway to do so. But you as an instructor, as a teacher, you're doing a wonderful job. Just asking that question, you're doing a wonderful job. But again, you can't control the environment. They're very distractible. I know one personally, they're very distractible when they're home. But if you can try to just continue to do what you can do in encouraging them, that they're getting through this process. uh, They're getting through this process in a wonderful way because this is all kind of what they have right now.
Mhm. I love that. And just from my own experience of observing my daughter doing virtual learning, I might just chime in just a little bit, but I would encourage them to have the students' cameras on so that
Oh yeah,
the students can see them.
definitely.
My daughter, when she was, second grade, when the cameras were off, she was running around the room.
Yeah,
But I'm sure that's not the case in high school, but
yeah. Hopefully, yeah.
Having the camera on kind of is kind of
Absolutely,
on task. And then
absolutely.
the other thing is just asking frequent questions to the
Questions,
students,
yeah. Mhm.
so that they know that you're going to be communicating with them, you're going to be reaching out to them, and it's not just a lecture style thing.
Exactly.
And then I think
Yeah.
also just more personal interaction is really necessary when you've got someone on the other side of the screen.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think that, asking more about how they're doing at home, getting them to show you things, show stuff to them, and anything
Mhm.
you do to kind of have more of a personal interaction is good, because I think that it feels very impersonal for the kids. And
Yeah.
oftentimes they're told to be muted. You need
Yep.
to mute yourself, and they need their voices to be heard too.
They do. They
Right.
do.
2 cents
And
on.
and even with high school kids, I'm sure there's probably an opportunity to allow them to just have conversation, maybe not on a particular topic, just like, okay, how was your day, or how was your weekend, and what did you know? Just give them that leeway to actually, have that personal conversation, like you said, Heather, is
Mhm.
wonderful. Like they can probably, they want to feel that connection that that the teacher actually cares. So, and I'm
Yeah.
sure this teacher is probably doing some of those things, but
Yeah,
it's just hard. Mhm.
it is. It's a hard time, and not knowing when it's going to end, I think, is another thing that's challenging about it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let me see
Mhm.
if you've got anything else right now. I don't have anything else, but Eric, do you have any other things that you're wondering about?
I don't. Tracy, thank you so much for coming on today. I think, your comments were insightful. I enjoyed your point of view, and really, really enjoyed having you on today. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me again. This was great.
And we look forward to hearing about your book coming up. And also, if you don't mind, we could share your website in the comments as
Yeah,
well, so
for
that
sure.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I
contact
would love
information
it.
on your website. So if someone wanted to reach out to you, is your email on there or something?
Yes. Should I bring it back up to share the website information?
Eric's gonna put it in the comments.
What's the URL for Vessels of Hope?
It's just vesselsofhope.org right there.
Yes.
You found it. It's easy to find, actually.
Is it?
We'll put it in the
I'm going
comments.
to put this in the comments so people can find it
Wonderful.
and get connected with you.
Well, thank you so much. Hopefully we help someone today, encourage someone today.
Definitely. Well, we can't thank you enough for your time today, and I hope you have a wonderful night, and we'll be in touch again soon.
Sounds great.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. All
You
right. Have a
too.
good night.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.